Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to a new session. I believe all of you are doing great. So the weekend is here already. But before we hit the weekend, we have to do some revision, right? Yes. That's why we are back with a new revision session for TN PGTRB exam. So I believe all of you are ready for this session. Yes? All right. So if you are new to our channel, then please do subscribe. And if you're watching this video right now, then please do like this video. All right? Yes. So welcome, welcome. Good evening, good evening. Good evening. Hello. So let us get started. So let me first share the screen. The screen is visible. Yes. Right. So welcome to session number 5 of our Vallath TNPG-TRB revision session. So before this, we have had 4 sessions. In case you have missed those sessions, you can just go to the live section of our Vallath YouTube channel, and there you will find all of our live sessions. Okay, right? Okay. Good evening, good evening. Yes. So we are ready. Let's move on to the first question for tonight. And yes, please do like the session. Right? Great. So here we go. A gentleman named Noel, concerned for his son's moral development, attempts to spy on his son, a typical city gallant. However, his espionage is continually subverted by the servant Brainworm, whom he employs for this purpose. Which play is this? So all these are happening in which play? That a gentleman named Noel, he is concerned about the moral development of his son, a very typical city gallant, and he has actually employed a servant for that purpose, Brainworm. And ironically, he is the one who is subverting this purpose of spying on his son, right? So this is happening in which play? We all know this play. It's a comedy of humor by Ben Jonson. And very popularly, it was a play in which even Shakespeare had acted, right? So Ben Jonson is very famous for writing in this particular genre of comedy of humors. Where according to Ben Jonson, one of the humors dominate the personalities of characters. There are 4 humors: blood, flame, choler, right? And one of these humors actually determine the personalities of the characters. That's what we mean by comedies of humor. So this is also a comedy of humor by Ben Jonson, and it is Every Man in His Humor. Every Man in His Humor, one of the most popular comedies of humor by Ben Jonson, which shows how these bodily humors, be it bile or choler or phlegm or blood, how these bodily humors, how these fluids determine the personality traits of characters. And remember, only one humor will dominate, only one bodily fluid will dominate your personality trait. That's what we see in this Comedies of Humor by Ben Jonson, right? Yes. So Every Man in His Humor by Ben Jonson. In this play, a gentleman called Noel, he is concerned about the moral development of his son, and he in fact employs a servant to spy on his son, a brainworm, but he subverts that purpose. Got it? Yes. Very good. Very good. Very good. Right. Next. The American Scholar is a speech and essay by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Emerson presented his essay or his speech to the Dash on 31st August 1837 about a year after the publication of his book Nature. So you have to tell me, there's a speech of Ralph Waldo Emerson called The American Scholar was delivered to whom and at which place? This speech of Ralph Waldo Emerson, the American Scholar, was delivered to whom and at which place? Tell me. Yes, correct. Very good. Very good. Right. Yes. The American Scholar. This speech was delivered by Ralph Waldo Emerson to the Phi Beta Kappa Society of Harvard College. Right? The American Scholar. It's a speech and essay by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Emerson had presented his speech to the Phi Beta Kappa Society of Harvard College on 31st August 1837, about a year after the publication of his book Nature. Nature. We all know Ralph Waldo Emerson was a major transcendentalist philosopher. Transcendentalist philosopher. After this live session, please read about transcendentalism. Who were the major members of this movement? What were the ideals and philosophies of this movement? The major works produced by this movement, the journal associated with this movement, the dial, right? So, who were the members? Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Margaret Fuller, right? And Margaret Fuller was the first editor of that journal, the dial. And transcendentalist philosophy is also very important, especially in context of American literature of the 19th century, of the late 19th century. Right? Yes, it was the time of the American Renaissance, because that period from 1850s onwards is popularly known as American Renaissance, and it was the time which actually coincided with the Victorian period in British literature. Right? Yes. Very good. Okay, right. Next. Towards a Feminist Poetics is a 1979 essay by Elaine Showalter that established the concept of dash, a field of feminist literary criticism focused on women writers and their distinct literary traditions. So tell me, Toward a Feminist Poetics is an essay by Elaine Showalter, and it established which concept, which is a field of feminist literary criticism focused on women writers and their distinct literary traditions. Tell me. Yes, correct. Very good. This essay by Elaine Showalter established the concept of gynocriticism. Very good. Very good. This essay by Elaine Showalter, it established the concept of gynocriticism. Gynocriticism. Very good. It's a field of criticism that is concerned with feminist literary criticism. Yes. Focused on women writers and their distinct literary traditions. Very good. Correct. Next. Thomas Gradgrind Jr. is the oldest son and second child of the Gradgrins. Initially sullen and resentful of his father's utilitarian education, Tom has a strong relationship with his sister, Louisa. He works in Bounderby's bank, which he later robs, and turns to gambling and drinking. But his sister Louisa never ceases to adore Tom, and she aids Sissy Jupe and Mr. Gradgrind in saving her brother from getting arrested. He is a character in which novel? Thomas Gradgrind, he is a character in which novel? And we have given you a description of his character here and the details associated with his character. Yes, tell me. He's a character from Dickens's novel Hard Times. Hard Times or For These Times. Hard Times by Dickens. It is subtitled For These Times. It was published in 1854. And remember, it is the only novel by Dickens which is not set in London. Right? It is the only novel by Dickens which is not set in London. It is rather set in Coketown. Hard Times is set in Coketown. And very popularly, it has a tripartite structure. That is, this novel has three distinct sections called sewing, ripping, garnering. Sewing, ripping, and garnering. And in this novel, Dickens had very vehemently attacked, or he had critiqued, rather, we can say, the movement of utilitarianism that was gaining traction in the 19th century. And since during this time, Thomas Carlyle was also a very vocal critique of this movement of utilitarianism, this novel, Hard Times, was dedicated to Thomas Carlyle. Dickens had dedicated this novel to Thomas Carlyle. So please remember, this novel critiques the ideals of utilitarianism, which was gaining traction during the 19th century. And in this novel, actually, Dickens shows the dark side, the evils of utilitarian thinking and its practice. What evils this movement entailed. The narrow perceptions of life it entailed. It critiqued that. Hard Times or For These Times by Dickens, published in 1854. All right, very good. Next question. Okay, so before we move on to the next question, let me remind you all that the GATE forms have been filled up already. I know many of you are preparing for your GATE exam. So if you are preparing for this exam, if you are planning to sit for this exam, we are here with our GATE course. Yes, we are starting our comprehensive GATE online course. It's a 5 months online course where we will give you classes for 3 days in a week from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And what are we offering you in this course? Live online lectures, recordings with lifetime access, okay? Intensive exam prep sessions. We will give you intensive revision sessions so that you can ace your exam. We will also provide you with topic-specific quizzes and model tests for practice. And remember, if you purchase this course, you will also get our books, our encyclopedias and question pads and everything. All right? And there are numbers on the screen where you can contact us if you want to know further about this course. So remember, we are starting our GATE online comprehensive course. Okay? Right. Great. So now let's move on to the next question. The poem Brahma by Emerson is primarily influenced by which philosophical tradition? Very easy question. You all know this. Is it Greek rationalism, Christian mysticism, Hindu Vedanta, or transcendental materialism? Emerson's Brahma, it was influenced by which movement or which tradition, which style, which ideal? The very name actually, Brahma, it gives away that this poem was influenced by none other than the tradition of Hindu Vedanta. We all know Lord Brahma, right? So Brahma, obviously, this name gives away the idea that this poem was influenced by Hindu Vedanta. Emerson was greatly inspired by Hindu teachings and Hindu philosophy, Hindu religion. Even think about it, that so many writers actually in the 20th century, they were inspired by Hindu philosophy and religion. Be T.S. Eliot, Aldous Huxley, Ralph Waldo Emerson. So many writers were intrigued by Hindu philosophy and religion. They were inspired by the studies of Hindu religion. Especially Hindu philosophy attracted them all. Right? Yes. And you have to remember, 20th century was a very turbulent time. World wars were happening. The world order was collapsing. Somehow they found solace that Hindu philosophy offered to them. Right? Yes. It was not just out of nowhere that they got intrigued by Hindu philosophy and studies. No. It was that time, the turbulent time. The time was very much responsible that why they got intrigued, why they got attracted towards Hindu philosophy, towards the study of this Hindu philosophy and religion. Because the times they were living in were very turbulent times. World wars were happening, the world order was collapsing altogether, right? All the nations were fighting with each other. There was merciless butchery of people all around. There was poverty. There was merciless fights over power, right? Yes. Next. Moria has lost her husband and 5 sons to the sea. As the play begins, Nora and Kathleen receive word from the priest that a body which may be their brother Michael has washed up on shore in County Donegal, on the Irish mainland north of their home island of Inishmaan. So this happens in which play? From the very first line itself, you must have understood that this play is none other than Riders to the Sea. It's a one-act play by J.M. Synge, and this play is a part of Irish literary renaissance. Remember its setting of Aran Islands. W.B. Yeats had actually inspired and he had urged James Synge to visit this island for inspiration because he was suffering from writer's block. James Synge was suffering from writer's block, and the visit to these Aran Islands had actually given him inspiration to write this play, Riders to the Sea. It's a one-act play by James Synge, and this play is part of Irish literary renaissance. In this play, Moria, she's an old woman. She has lost her husband and 5 sons to the sea. And as the play begins, we see that Nora and Kathleen, they were the daughters of Moria. So as the play begins, Moria's daughters, Nora and Kathleen, they receive the word from the priest and that a body, which maybe their brother Michael has washed up on shore in County Donegal, on the Irish mainland north of their home island of Inishmaan. During this time, actually slowly environment was becoming very prominent in the works of the 20th century, be it the Old Man and the Sea or various dystopian works of science fiction or these works, these plays. Gradually we see how already environment was becoming a very prominent force and also a source of concern in these works, right? Yes. Next question. George Orwell wrote this essay shortly after the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. Published in the Tribune, it reflects on how the creation of the atomic bomb would affect world politics, freedom, and power structures. Orwell's central argument is that weapons like the atom bomb are expensive and difficult to make, and therefore the centralized power in the hands of a few wealthy industrialized nations. He contrasts these atom bombs with the cheap, easily produced weapons like rifles or dynamite, which allow ordinary citizens and guerrilla fighters to resist oppressive regimes. So, are these statements true or false about the essay You and the Atom Bomb? So, here I have given you some statements about the essay You and the Atom Bomb. So, first of all, is it true that this essay was written by George Orwell shortly after the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945? Was it published in the Tribune? And does it argue about the effects of atom bomb on world order and power structures and politics and the balance of peace in the world? So, are there statements true about the essay You and the Atom Bomb by George Orwell? Yes, it is absolutely true. And remember, in this essay, Orwell's central argument is that weapons like the atom bomb are expensive and difficult to make, and therefore the centralized power in the hands of a few wealthy industrialized nations. It takes lots of money to make atom bombs. It's not easy. And hence, it only gives the power to a few to oppress other nations. Right? Yes. Next question. What war provides the setting for Mother Courage and her children? The Napoleonic Wars, the 30 Years' War, the Franco Prussian War, or the First World War? Mother Courage and her children, it's an example of epic theater by Bertolt Brecht. Epic theater means it's a theatrical technique where the audience is continually reminded of the fact that you are watching a play. It's not reality. It's a performance which you are witnessing in front of yourself. So stay alert and scrutinize everything you see on the stage. Don't fall for the things like starting crying and identifying yourself with the characters over there. No, it's a performance. So stay alert and examine each and everything you see out there. It is epic theater. It's a theatrical technique which was employed by Bertolt Brecht in his plays, epic theater. And he achieved this through his technique of the alienation effect. The alienation effect. The effect which helped the audience to alienate themselves from the play, from the characters of the play, from the situations of the play, so that they can stay alert as critical audience and examine everything they see on the stage. Epic theater achieved through the technique of alienation effect. Right? So, which war provides the setting for Mother Courage and her children? It is the 30 Years' War. Bertolt Brecht's Mother Courage and Her Children is one of the greatest anti war dramas ever written. It is set against the backdrop of the 30 Years' War, right? And this play follows Anna Firling, nicknamed Mother Courage. She was a canteen woman who profited from war by selling goods to soldiers. She traveled across war torn Europe with her three children, Elif, Swiss cheese, and Katrin, each of whom she eventually loses to the same war that sustained her livelihood. And through this paradox, Bertolt Brecht exposes the moral contradictions of capitalism and war. Mother Courage's survival instinct and profiteering are self defeating. She tries to leave off the war but ends up losing everything to it. It's a play full of contradictions. Mother Courage, Anna Firling, she tried to leave off of the war, but that war ended up taking everything from her, even her own children. Right? Yes. Okay. Next question. All for Love or The World Well Lost is a 1677 heroic drama by John Dryden. It is dedicated to Dash. It's a tragedy in blank verse, and it imitates Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra and focuses on the last hours of the lives of its hero and heroine. So, All for Love or The World Well Lost. It's a blank verse tragedy by Dryden. It imitates Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, and it was dedicated to the Earl of Danby. It was dedicated to the Earl of Danby. All for Love or The World Well Lost. It's a blank verse tragedy by Dryden. Year 1677. And it was dedicated to Earl of Danby. Clear? Very good. Very good. Next. The poem The Thought Fox by Ted Hughes primarily explores what? Nature's violence, the act of poetic creation, childhood memories, or love and death. Now, this is a poem I think we have discussed many times in many questions before for various exams. So, the poem The Thought Fox by Ted Hughes, it explores what? The act of poetic creation. This poem is actually an allegory of creativity. It allegorizes the process of creativity, the creativity of poetic creation. So it allegorizes creativity. So the poem, The Thought Fox by Ted Hughes, primarily explores the act of poetic creation. Okay? Right. The Scholar Gypsy, 1853, is a poem by Matthew Arnold, based on a 17th century Oxford story found in Dash. Again, a very popular work by Arnold. Yes, tell me. The Scholar Gypsy by Matthew Arnold is based on a 17th century Oxford story found in Joseph Glanville's The Vanity of Dogmatizing. Found in Joseph Glanville's The Vanity of Dogmatizing. Okay? So, yes, that's all from our side for tonight. I really hope you guys love the questions and enjoyed the discussion as well. And before I leave you all, it's a reminder that we are starting our comprehensive GATE online course. If you are planning to sit for the GATE exam, this course will really help you. All right. So that's it for tonight. And the weekend is here. Do have a lovely weekend. Do take care and keep studying. All right. And I will see you all again exactly at 9 p.m. on Monday at our Vallath YouTube channel. So till then, do take care. And please do like the video before you leave. Okay? Right. So good night then. And I will see you all again on Monday. Don't forget to join on Monday.